Jack Mercer had never planned to stop at Zyra. 7. In fact, he had only learned the planet's name from a passing transport shuttle, and had been warned that it was little more than a dusty outpost on the edge of the frontier. But when the shuttle broke down and left him stranded, Jack had little choice but to walk through the barren red plains, hoping for a roof to rest under, if only for a night. He had traveled across dozens of worlds, and his only goal tonight was a simple one: sleep. The town came into view as the twin moons rose, casting a pale silver glow over the sparse buildings. There was a saloon, a general store, and a few scattered homes that seemed barely more than metal shells bolted together with whatever scraps the settlers could find. Jack's boots crunched over the rocky ground as he approached the saloon, the faint sound of music and laughter spilling out into the cold night air. He pushed the door open and was immediately greeted by the warmth of the interior, the smell of fried protein, and the low hum of conversation. But the moment he stepped inside, the room seemed to shift. A few heads turned, and then 3 figures moved from the shadows near the back of the room. They were women, but not entirely human. The first had skin that shimmered with a soft bluish light, her eyes larger than any human's, and glowing faintly. The second had hair that shifted colors like liquid metal, and a faint, delicate pattern running along her forearms that seemed to pulse in rhythm with her heartbeat. The third was taller, with multiple small eyes that gave her a constant awareness of her surroundings, and a subtle luminescence along her jawline. Jack froze, unsure how to greet them. They were clearly alien, and yet their movements carried an ease and elegance that made it obvious they were intelligent, accustomed to interaction, even if human norms were foreign to them. "You're new," the first said, her voice melodic but firm. "We've not seen a human here in a long time." Jack nodded slowly. "Name's Jack. Just passing through. Looking for a place to sleep." The alien women exchanged a glance, a gesture that seemed almost imperceptible, but carried meaning between them. The tallest one spoke. "Sleep? That is boring. There is much to see, much to learn. We can help you, if you will." Jack chuckled nervously, glancing at the other patrons who now avoided looking directly at him. "Thanks, but I'm really just tired. That's all I want." The women didn't look deterred. "All humans sleep so much," the second one said, tilting her head. "We find it fascinating. But rest is not enough. There are experiences that your kind cannot imagine. You are lucky to have arrived." Jack had learned long ago not to argue when strangers insisted on helping him. He followed them out of the saloon and into the chill night, where their encampment lay a few hundred meters from the town. The camp was a combination of advanced technology and organic growth. Bioluminescent tents floated slightly above the ground, powered by energy he couldn't begin to identify, and small mechanical devices hovered around, scanning the terrain quietly. The women led him to a platform that glowed softly. "This is your temporary rest area," the tallest said. "You may lie here, but there is more. You must eat and see." Jack raised an eyebrow but did not protest. He was too tired to fight curiosity, even when it came from aliens. He lay down on the floating platform, feeling a slight vibration beneath him as the system adjusted to support his weight. The sensation was odd, but not unpleasant, and for a moment he felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe sleep would come after all. But the aliens were not done. Lyra, the one with glowing skin, handed him a small dish. The food glowed faintly, almost like it contained its own light source. Jack sniffed it warily. "What is this?" "Nutrition," she said simply. "Enhanced for human physiology. Safe. Tasty, in our opinion." Jack bit cautiously. The flavor was strange but surprisingly comforting. a mix of sweet and savory with a texture that reminded him vaguely of roasted vegetables back home. He ate quickly, realizing that after weeks of synthetic rations and canned food, anything edible was a blessing. While he ate, Zephyra, the one with shifting hair, showed him a small device. It looked like a tablet, but the display floated above it in 3 dimensions.
"This allows you to see our world differently," she explained. "You may observe without touching."
Learn before you act. Jack tilted it in his hands and watched in fascination as the holographic display projected the surrounding terrain, showing hidden water sources, energy flows, and even the movements of distant animals he could not have noticed otherwise. He had never seen technology like this, so intuitive, yet so alien. He fiddled with it, discovering a way to zoom in on the town itself, seeing details that were normally invisible. "You are curious," Nico said, her multiple eyes blinking rapidly. "That is good. Curiosity is rare in humans we have met." Jack laughed softly. "I guess that makes me special." The alien smiled, though not in a way that mimicked humans. It was something different, warm, approving, yet alien in expression. Night deepened and Jack tried to sleep again. This time, the vibration of the platform and the faint light of the bioluminescent tents made it easier. He closed his eyes, only to be woken by a sudden alarm. A low hum, rhythmic, but urgent. The aliens were already moving. "Intruders," Lyra said, her voice calm but firm. "They are coming for what we protect. Stay here." Jack sat up immediately, adrenaline surging. He had been through trouble before, but he had never been caught in the middle of an alien settlement, under threat.
"What do you mean?"
"Who are they?" "Hunters," Zephyra said, activating a floating control panel. "They come for our devices. They will not care about you, but their weapons, they are dangerous." Jack's mind raced. The humans he had traveled with often faced bandits or pirates, but this was something else entirely. And yet, instinct took over. He had survived situations that others thought impossible. He had learned to make use of the environment, to improvise, to turn even the smallest advantage into survival. He glanced around at the alien women. They moved with precision, each knowing their role in defense. But Jack realized something important. Their technology was advanced, but rigid. They followed protocols. They would be vulnerable to creative, unpredictable tactics. And humans excelled at that. Jack stood. "I can help," he said. The aliens exchanged glances, then nodded. "Perhaps you will," Nico said. "If you can act as we do not, you may survive." He ran to the edge of the camp and began moving pieces of equipment, improvising cover and using the terrain to hide approach routes. He quickly noticed the floating drones that the aliens used for surveillance. They followed predictable paths. Jack studied their movement and figured out how to create blind spots, places where he could move without being detected. Hours passed in tense preparation, and though the marauders had not yet arrived, Jack could feel the weight of the situation. This was no longer about sleep. Survival was now his priority, and strangely, it felt familiar. He had always been a survivor, the one who could face challenges others would flee from. The first glimmer of movement appeared on the horizon. Small ships, barely larger than the alien drones, but armed and menacing. Jack watched carefully, noting their formation. The aliens tensed, ready to defend, but Jack saw a chance. Using a combination of alien tech and human intuition, he began setting up traps along their predicted path. Simple but effective. Energy nets, distraction devices, and a few clever misdirections. Lyra noticed his actions. "You are, different from what we expected," she said. "You do not follow instructions blindly. You think." Jack smiled faintly. "Thinking keeps people alive," he said. "It's what humans do best." Zephyra tilted her head. Perhaps that is why we find you. Interesting. Few humans survive long enough to reach us. The ships landed, kicking up red dust, and the first group of intruders stepped out. They were humanoid in shape but clearly not human. Heavily armored and carrying weapons that glowed with lethal energy. Jack moved quickly, signaling the aliens where to deploy their defensive mechanisms. The first encounter was chaotic. Energy blasts lit the night sky, and Jack darted between cover, improvising on the spot. He used his knowledge of human physics, timing, and unpredictability to mislead the attackers. A floating net caught one, another tripped on a cleverly rigged obstacle. The aliens watched, adjusting their strategy based on his improvisation. By dawn, the marauders had retreated, leaving the camp relatively intact. Jack leaned against a piece of alien machinery, exhausted but exhilarated. The alien women approached him, expressions a mixture of respect and astonishment. "You are remarkable," Lyra said. "You do what we cannot, see what we cannot. You are human, yet beyond what we expected." Jack chuckled, rubbing his sore arms. "I just wanted a place to sleep," he said. "Didn't know I'd end up this." Nico smiled faintly. "Perhaps you are exactly what this place needed. And perhaps your rest can wait." Jack looked at the rising twin moons, the quiet town beyond, and the alien women who now regarded him with curiosity and respect. For the first time, he realized Zyra, 7, was not just a place to sleep. It was a place where humans, even a single man, could make a difference. If they were willing to act, to think, and to survive. And Jack Mercer had survived many things. The sun rose slowly over Zyra, pale, pale, pale 7, painting the barren landscape in shades of red and gold. Jack Mercer had slept little, if at all, after the skirmish with the marauders. He sat on a small rock just outside the alien camp, rubbing his temples and trying to make sense of the strange world around him. The 3 alien women, Lyra, Zafira, and Nico, moved gracefully among their equipment, repairing drones, checking energy fields, and monitoring the surrounding terrain. Jack watched them for a while, fascinated. Their movements were precise, almost like a carefully choreographed dance, but he also noticed moments of improvisation, small adjustments made on the fly. It reminded him of humans in some ways, creative, adaptable, and he realized that for all their technology and skill, they were not invincible. Lyra approached him first, carrying a small tray of food that glowed softly in the morning light. "You must eat," she said, placing the tray beside him. "You have done much, yet you are fatigued." Humans require sustenance. Jack accepted it, nodding. He picked up one of the glowing pieces of fruit, cautious at first, then bit into it. The flavor was sweet, tangy, and completely unlike anything he had ever tasted. "Not bad," he said with a grin. "Better than the last space station I was on." Zafira appeared next, holding a device that resembled a tablet but with floating holographic projections above it. "We wish to teach you," she said. "There is much you may learn here, and much we may learn from you." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Teach me? I barely survived last night." "I'm not sure I'm ready for lessons." Nico, standing slightly behind, tilted her head. "Survival is your lesson." "You think differently than we do. That is your strength. But you may also learn from us. Our ways, our knowledge, our methods." Jack sighed, then shrugged. "All right, fine. Show me something new. But don't expect me to sit quietly and nod. I'm more of a hands-on learner." The alien women exchanged glances, then nodded as if that had been expected. "Good," Lyra said. "Hands-on is effective for humans." They led Jack to a small structure made of shimmering panels and floating platforms. Inside, the air hummed with energy, and small drones hovered around, projecting images of distant planets, energy fields, and alien machinery. Jack stepped carefully, trying not to trip over the invisible lines of force that crisscrossed the room.
This is our observation chamber, Zafira explained. Here we monitor Zyra,
7 and surrounding regions. You may observe, but you must also learn to act. Observation alone is not enough for humans. Jack nodded, his curiosity piqued. He reached out to one of the holographic panels, spinning a 3-dimensional map of the terrain. He could see hidden caves, water sources, energy deposits, and even small creatures scurrying in the distance. "This is incredible," he muttered. "I've never seen anything like it." "You humans are adaptable," Miko said. You see patterns where others see chaos. You think of solutions that are not obvious. That is why we are interested in you. Jack smiled faintly. I guess that makes me more useful than I thought. Their lesson was interrupted by a sudden commotion outside. Jack peered through the transparent panels and saw a group of townspeople from the nearby human settlement approaching. They looked wary, some carrying tools that could double as weapons. Jack frowned. He had expected curiosity, but their expressions carried suspicion, even fear. The alien women noticed it too. "They are cautious," Lyra said. "Humans often fear what they do not understand, but you are human. You may calm them or not."
"That is your choice."
Jack stood and walked toward the approaching humans.
"Hey!" he called, keeping his voice calm. "I'm not here to cause trouble.
I'm just passing through." One of the settlers, a wiry man with sunburned skin, stepped forward. "You? You're the human with the aliens, aren't you? We've heard stories. Strange lights, people disappearing. What are you doing with them?" Jack shrugged. "I don't disappear. And I'm not doing anything you need to worry about. They saved my life last night." The townspeople exchanged uncertain glances. Jack realized that fear could be a stronger force than logic. "Look," he said, "I'm just trying to survive like everyone else. If we work together, we can protect the town from threats."
"I know how to handle trouble when it comes."
The settlers seemed to hesitate, then slowly lowered their tools. Jack turned back to the alien women. "See? Sometimes humans just need to understand each other." Lyra nodded. "Your methods are effective. You may teach them as well. Cooperation is unusual among humans, yet you make it possible." For the next few hours, Jack learned more about the aliens' technology. They showed him how energy fields worked, how their drones mapped terrain, and how their portable devices could manipulate the environment in subtle but powerful ways. Jack's hands-on approach led to small accidents. One device nearly flipped him upside down, another sent a small energy burst into the air, but each mistake was met with encouragement rather than reprimand. "You think differently," Zafira said as Jack patched together a malfunctioning drone. "You do not follow instructions blindly. You experiment. That is human strength." Jack chuckled. "Experimentation is survival. If I don't try things my way, I don't last long." The alien women watched him closely, their expressions a mixture of fascination and admiration. They had met humans before, but few displayed the adaptability and ingenuity that Jack possessed. In his actions they saw potential, not just for survival, but for leadership, for bridging the gap between their world and the humans of Zyra. 7. As evening approached, the air grew tense. Jack noticed subtle movements in the distance, shapes flitting across the rocky plains. He squinted, trying to make sense of them. "More trouble?" he asked. Lyra nodded. "Perhaps. We are not certain, but your instincts are valuable. You may see what we do not." Jack moved closer to the edge of the camp, scanning the horizon. The shadows shifted, and he realized the shapes were more organized than he first thought. They were not wandering creatures. They were scouts, marauders, like the ones from last night, testing the defenses. He turned to the aliens. We need a plan. If they're scouting, they'll report back, and a larger group could come for the settlement. Zephyra activated a floating panel, projecting a grid of the surrounding terrain. Jack studied it, pointing out choke points and hidden routes. If we lure them here, we can trap them. These narrow passes will limit their numbers. I can set up some diversions, make them think there's more resistance than there actually is. Nico's multiple eyes blinked rapidly. You understand strategy in a way our systems do not. Perhaps humans are underestimated. Jack smiled. Underestimated is fine. Means no one expects what I'll do next. The night fell, and Jack began preparing, using a combination of alien technology and his own ingenuity. He set traps along the predicted paths of the marauders. Energy nets hung invisibly in the darkness. Small drones patrolled unusual routes, and subtle misdirections were placed to confuse anyone trying to infiltrate. Hours passed, and the tension built. Jack moved quickly, efficiently, guided by instinct and experience. The alien women assisted where necessary, but it was clear that his unpredictability was their advantage. Finally, the marauders arrived, small ships kicking up dust as they landed near the camp. They moved with caution, but Jack had anticipated their every step. The first group tripped over invisible obstacles, triggering alarms and lights that blinded them momentarily. The drones swooped, forcing them into narrow corridors where the energy nets caught them. Lyra, Zephyra, and Nico watched in awe as Jack maneuvered, directing the aliens' defenses with precision. His hands moved quickly, his mind calculating angles, timing, and human unpredictability that no machine could replicate. By the time the marauders realized what was happening, it was too late. Jack had turned the terrain into a maze of confusion and danger, forcing them to retreat. Their ships lifted off hastily, leaving behind discarded equipment and a few stunned attackers. Breathing heavily, Jack leaned against a rock, wiping sweat from his brow. The alien women approached, their expressions a mixture of relief and respect. You did what we could not, Nico said. You changed the outcome with your human creativity. Jack shrugged, a small smile on his face. I just did what humans do. Think, adapt, survive. Zephyra placed a hand on his shoulder. Perhaps that is why we are fascinated by your kind, rare yet capable beyond expectation. Jack looked out over the settlement, the distant lights of the human town flickering softly. He realized that Zyra, 7, was no longer just a place to rest. It was a place where humans could make a real difference, where ingenuity and courage could tip the scales, and where even a single person could alter the course of events. For the first time in weeks, Jack felt a spark of excitement, of purpose. He had come looking for a bed. Instead, he had found a challenge, a mission, and a new kind of respect, from humans and aliens alike. And as the twin moons of Zyra, 7 rose once more, casting their silver glow over the red plains, Jack knew that his journey had only just begun. The morning sun of Zyra, 7 barely pierced the thick red dust that lingered over the settlement. Jack Mercer stood on the small ridge overlooking the alien camp, squinting as he surveyed the landscape. The previous night's skirmish had been only a warm-up. Scouts from the marauders had retreated, but Jack knew the bigger threat was coming. Their retreat wasn't defeat. It was a warning. Lyra approached him quietly, her glowing skin reflecting the dim morning light. You are restless, she observed. Humans worry too much about threats, yet you think clearly. Jack rubbed the back of his neck. I'm not worried. I'm alert. Danger comes in different forms, and I've learned it doesn't always wait for morning. Zephyra hovered beside them, her shifting hair catching the sun in flashes of silver and gold.
Your instincts are unusual.
You see patterns, we do not. That is why you survive where others fail. Jack smiled faintly. Patterns, experience, and a bit of luck. Humans survive by noticing what others ignore. Nico appeared, moving silently, her multiple eyes scanning the horizon. We have confirmed their numbers. They are more organized than last night. We cannot predict their approach fully. You may assist in defense preparations. Jack nodded. He didn't need to be asked twice. Show me what you've got set up so far. The aliens led him through the camp, pointing out energy fields, drone patrols, and concealed traps. Jack examined each carefully, noticing patterns and weaknesses. The traps were effective, but rigid. They relied on predictable triggers. Jack's mind raced. He could add improvisation, unpredictability, human ingenuity that would make the defenses far more effective. Here, he said, moving to a set of floating drones. These are predictable. If I adjust their path slightly, they can create false signals. The marauders will think they're entering an empty area when it's actually a trap. Lyra tilted her head. You improvise. This is risky. Better risky than dead, Jack replied. Humans often survive because we adapt faster than enemies expect. For the next few hours, Jack moved through the camp, adjusting drones, repositioning traps, and adding subtle misdirections. He even used pieces of alien equipment in ways their creators had not imagined. Floating platforms as decoys, holographic projections to mask troop movements, and energy nets to channel the attackers into narrow corridors. As the preparations continued, the humans from the nearby settlement arrived. They were still cautious, but now more curious than fearful. Jack explained his plan briefly, using simple language and gestures. The settlers nodded, understanding their roles. Some placed small obstacles where Jack indicated. Others helped reinforce defensive structures. The alien women observed silently, allowing Jack to coordinate without interference. By mid-afternoon, everything was ready. The camp was a maze of traps, misdirections, and hidden defenses. Jack stood on a small rise, watching the horizon. In the distance, he could see the shadowed forms of the marauder fleet returning, larger and more organized this time.
They come, Zafira said, her voice calm but precise. Jack's heart beat faster, not from fear, but from anticipation.
This was what he lived for, the challenge, the test of skill and ingenuity. Good, he said. Let's show them what humans can do. The marauders landed in formation, disembarking swiftly and moving toward the camp with practiced precision. Their armor gleamed, their weapons humming with lethal energy. But Jack's preparations were perfect, or as close to perfect as improvisation could make them. The first group walked straight into a trap. Energy nets shot up from the ground, hitching several attackers and lifting them off balance. Floating drones swooped down, creating illusions of more defenders than actually present. The marauders hesitated, trying to assess the situation. Jack moved quickly, signaling the alien women where to deploy their energy fields. Lyra activated a series of shields that redirected energy blasts back toward the attackers. Zafira guided the drones with subtle hand gestures, creating confusion and false targets. Nico monitored their movements, predicting where they would strike next. Jack noticed one of the marauders attempting to flank the camp from a hidden path. He grabbed a small device and sent a pulse that created a holographic wall of light. The marauders stumbled, misjudging the distance, and ran straight into a concealed energy trap. The aliens watched, astonished.
You anticipate? Lyra said.
You act before they can think. This is human strategy.
Jack grinned. It's what we do. We notice what others overlook and act fast, adapt or die. That's the rule. The battle intensified. Marauders pressed forward in waves, but Jack's traps and improvisation kept them off balance. The humans from the settlement followed his instructions, using simple but effective maneuvers to block paths and redirect attackers. Every time the marauders adapted, Jack had another trick ready. At one point, a large marauder charged directly at the camp's center. Jack grabbed a hovering platform, redirected it, and used it as a barricade. The attacker's momentum threw him off balance, and a well-placed energy net immobilized him. The aliens quickly subdued the intruder, amazed at Jack's quick thinking. Hours passed, the sun dipping toward the horizon. The last wave of marauders retreated, defeated, but not destroyed. Their ships lifted off, leaving behind equipment, wounded, and a clear message. Zyra, Jack had built on, and humans were not to be underestimated. Jack collapsed onto a rock, exhausted, but exhilarated. He had done what the aliens could not, using human intuition, creativity, and adaptability to turn the tide. The alien women approached him, expressions a mix of awe and respect.
"You have done what none of us expected," Nico said. "Your actions have ensured the survival of this camp and the town beyond."
Zephyra nodded. "Your human mind, it is remarkable. We may learn more from you than you from us." Jack laughed softly, shaking his head. "I'm just a man who wants to survive. Humans have a habit of making things work when it matters most." Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "Perhaps that is why we are drawn to your kind. Rare, yet capable beyond expectation." Jack looked out over the settlement, the red plains stretching endlessly, and felt a sense of accomplishment he hadn't felt in years. Zyra, Vire. 7 was no longer just a place to sleep. It was a place where humans could make a difference, even as the only man in the region. As night fell, Jack and the alien women gathered to review the defenses. The aliens were curious about his thought process, asking questions and attempting to understand how a single human could orchestrate such a complex defense. Jack explained in simple terms, demonstrating principles of improvisation, adaptability, and rapid decision-making. "You are teaching us," Lyra said. "Humans survive because they think differently. They are unpredictable. That is their strength." Jack smiled. "And humans survive because we refuse to give up, no matter how impossible it seems." Nico nodded. "We see now that humans are essential. Even a single individual can change outcomes beyond expectation." For the first time, Jack felt a deep connection with the aliens. They were not just strange beings. They were allies, observers, and collaborators. Together, they had protected the settlement from a threat that seemed insurmountable. And yet, Jack knew this was only the beginning. The marauders would return, stronger and smarter. But now the aliens had learned from him. Humans had left their mark. As the twin moons of Zyra, 7 rose, casting a soft silver glow over the red landscape. Jack sat with the alien women, sharing stories of human ingenuity, past adventures, and strategies for survival. The aliens listened, fascinated, asking questions, and absorbing every detail. Jack realized that Zyra, 7, had become more than a resting place. It had become a classroom, a battlefield, and a proving ground for what humans could accomplish. He felt a sense of pride, not arrogance, not bravado, but pride in the simple fact that humans, even a single man, could stand against overwhelming odds and prevail. The alien woman's admiration was not flattery, it was recognition of an undeniable truth. Humans were resilient, adaptable, and capable of remarkable feats. Jack Mercer, the only man in the town, had survived the impossible. And in doing so, he had proven why humans were always worth noticing, always worth respecting, and always capable of rising to any challenge, no matter how alien the world or how fierce the enemy. The night was quiet now, the camp safe for the moment. Jack allowed himself a brief moment of rest, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new lessons, and new opportunities. He had come seeking sleep, but he had found purpose, respect, and a chance to show the universe what humans could do. And as the stars twinkled above the barren plains of Zyra, 7, Jack Mercer knew one thing for certain. Being the only man in town did not make him powerless. It made him essential. The next morning, Jack woke to a soft glow spilling through the shimmering panels of the alien camp. He stretched, muscles sore from the previous day's fight, and took a deep breath of the warm, slightly metallic air. Zyra. 7's twin moons were still visible in the sky, casting a faint silver tint across the red plains. Jack had survived countless dangers in his life, but this place had already taught him lessons he had never expected. Lessons in survival, ingenuity, and the quiet power of cooperation. Lyra appeared first, floating effortlessly toward him. Her glowing skin reflected the early sunlight. "You have proven yourself beyond expectation," she said. "Humans are rare here. Even a single individual can influence outcomes far beyond what we anticipated." "You have done so." Jack shrugged, trying to sound modest. "I just did what I had to. Humans survive by doing what others cannot or will not." Zephyra appeared next, her hair shimmering like liquid metal, catching the sun in flashes.
"That is true. Now humans have a choice.
"You may leave Zyra, 7, and continue your journey. Or," she paused, letting her words hang in the air, "or you may join us." Protect. Help prepare this world for what comes next. Jack frowned. He had spent years moving from place to place, always alone, always avoiding responsibility. The idea of staying put, becoming someone important, was unfamiliar. Yet he could feel the truth in their words. This wasn't about glory or power. It was about making a difference, something humans were good at when it mattered most. "I don't know," Jack said, scratching his head. "I've never been good at staying in one place. But I also know when something matters."
"And this seems like it matters."
Miko floated closer, her multiple eyes blinking slowly.
"It does matter. You have shown your capability."
"Humans are adaptable, resilient, unpredictable. You embody all these qualities. We need humans, your kind, to bridge the worlds. Zyra, 7 can become a place where humans and aliens work together, and you can help make that happen."
Jack looked out across the settlement. The small human town lay quiet, its citizens unaware of the danger they had narrowly escaped.
The alien camp hummed with energy, its technology unlike anything he had seen. He thought of the battles, the strategies, the moments where instinct had saved lives. For the first time, he considered the possibility that staying could be more rewarding than wandering. "All right," he said finally. "I'll stay, but I do it my way. Humans don't follow rules blindly, and neither should I." The alien women smiled, expressions strange but approving. "Your way is
effective," Lyra said. "And that is all that matters." Over the following days, Jack settled into life at Zyra.
7. The humans in the town gradually warmed to him, curious about his strange allies and impressed by the way he had coordinated the previous defense. Jack taught them simple strategies for survival, using both human ingenuity and the lessons he had learned from the aliens. They built basic defensive devices, improvised traps, and learned how to read the land in ways that made them safer. The aliens in turn continued to share their knowledge with Jack. He learned to manipulate energy fields, control drones with precision, and even understand the subtle cues of alien communication that went beyond words. Jack's approach was always practical. He focused on what worked rather than theory. But the aliens appreciated his mind. He challenged them, asked questions, and suggested improvements to their technology in ways they had never considered. One afternoon, while Jack adjusted a set of floating observation drones, Zephyra approached him. "You have done more than survive," she said. "You have transformed this settlement. Humans are rare, but you have shown that even one individual can have a profound impact. You inspire us to think differently." Jack wiped sweat from his brow. "I guess humans have a way of surprising people. We're not always strong, but we're clever. And we don't give up. That's something anyone, human or alien, can respect." Lyra floated beside him, her glowing skin warm in the afternoon sun. We have called this place a frontier, a place where humans rarely tread. But now, with your guidance, it may become a hub, a meeting point for knowledge, survival, and collaboration."
You have made it possible.
Jack smiled faintly. "Never thought I'd be teaching aliens. Funny how life works sometimes." The days passed quickly. Jack's routine settled into a rhythm. Mornings spent teaching humans and monitoring the surrounding terrain. Afternoons adjusting defenses. Evenings sharing meals and stories with the alien women. Life was not easy, but it was fulfilling. For the first time in years, Jack felt that his skills mattered, that he could influence events in meaningful ways. One evening, as the twin moons rose and cast silver light across the plains, a faint signal appeared on the observation drones. Jack leaned closer, frowning. "Something's coming," he muttered. The aliens gathered, their expressions serious.
More marauders?
Jack asked. Lyra shook her head. "Not the same. These are unknown. They come from far beyond Zyra 7. Advanced, organized, and dangerous. Your skills may again be tested." Jack's heart raced. Danger was nothing new, but this felt different. These were no small raiders. They were a calculated force, aware of alien technology and possibly of humans. And yet he felt a surge of determination. Humans thrived under challenges. It was what they did best.
"Then we prepare," he said firmly. "I've done it before, and we can do it again."
Humans and aliens together. Zephyra nodded, her hair flickering like liquid metal. "Yes, together we may survive, and perhaps even thrive." Over the next few hours, Jack worked tirelessly with the alien women. He coordinated defensive positions, improvised new traps, and ensured that both humans and aliens were ready. His strategies were not flawless, but they relied on adaptability, the ability to change in real time. That was something even the aliens admired. As night fell, the unknown fleet arrived. Sleek ships, advanced weaponry, and coordinated troops descended onto Zyra 7. The aliens readied their energy fields, and the humans took their positions, following Jack's instructions. He moved among them, offering advice, encouragement, and tactical insights. The first wave struck, and chaos erupted. Energy blasts lit the night, drones swooped, and humans moved with precision, guided by Jack's commands. He noticed patterns, anticipated moves, and improvised on the fly. Time and again he used the environment to their advantage. Rocky ridges funneled attackers, energy traps diverted them, and holographic projections created illusions of larger forces. Hours passed in a blur of action. Jack's body ached, but his mind remained sharp. He anticipated enemy moves before they happened, adjusted traps instantly, and coordinated defenses with the alien women. Together, they fought like a single unstoppable force. Finally, as dawn approached, the attackers retreated. Their ships lifted off, leaving behind debris, wounded soldiers, and a clear message. Zyra 7 was defended, and humans were not to be underestimated. Jack leaned against a floating platform, breathing heavily. The alien women approached him, expressions a mixture of relief and admiration.
"You have done it again,"
Nico said.
"Your human mind—"
"Remarkable. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, you have prevailed." Zephyra nodded. "You are more than a survivor."
"You are a leader. Humans are rare, but one can make a difference."
Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "This settlement, this planet, may now grow because of your actions. Humans, even a single individual, can change the course of events." Jack looked out over the town, the alien camp, and the vast red plains beyond. He felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had come seeking nothing more than sleep, yet he had found purpose, respect, and a chance to show the universe what humans could do. For the first time in his life, Jack Mercer felt truly at home, not because of comfort or safety, but because he had a role, a responsibility, and the opportunity to prove the strength, ingenuity, and resilience of humanity. He was the only man in town, yes, but that did not make him small. It made him essential. The alien women smiled at him, their glowing eyes reflecting admiration. "You are human," Lyra said. "And for that, you are extraordinary." Jack chuckled softly. "Humans always manage to surprise people," he said. "Sometimes even ourselves." The twin moons of Zyra, 7, rose higher in the sky, casting their silver light across the plains. Jack stood, looking toward the horizon. Challenges would come again, enemies would test them, and the unknown waited. But now he knew this. Humans were never helpless. One person could make a difference. One mind, one will, one heart could tip the scales. And as the wind swept across the alien camp and the quiet town beyond, Jack Mercer made a silent promise. He would stay, he would fight, and he would teach. Humanity had arrived on Zyra, 7, and in his hands it had a chance to thrive. For the first time in years, Jack smiled, not because he was safe, but because he knew he was exactly where he was meant to be. Humans had found a place, and he was the bridge between worlds. The universe was vast, dangerous, and often hostile, but humans were remarkable. And Jack Mercer intended to prove that fact every single day. Days passed on Zyra, 7 in a rhythm that was both exhausting and invigorating. Jack Mercer had settled into his new life as the only human among aliens, a teacher, strategist, and defender. The settlement had grown. More humans arrived, curious and eager to learn. Jack coordinated their arrival, teaching them not only survival techniques but how to think like humans, adaptable, unpredictable, and unafraid of challenges. The alien women, Lyra, Zafira, and Nico, moved with quiet fascination beside him. They had watched humans before, but Jack had proven that even one human could alter the course of a planet. Now, with more humans arriving, they began to see the potential for a true frontier alliance, a blend of human ingenuity and alien technology. One evening, Jack stood on a ridge overlooking the plains, the twin moons rising in the sky. The settlement glowed softly below, alien tents and human shelters intertwined, a patchwork of survival and hope. His mind wandered briefly to his old life, solitary, aimless, wandering from planet to planet, but he quickly pushed the thoughts aside. That life felt like a distant dream, irrelevant compared to the challenges here. "Jack," Lyra's voice called softly from behind, pulling him from his thoughts. "We have detected movement on the far horizon. Something unusual. Not marauders. Something larger and organized." Jack frowned. He had faced small groups before, even an organized fleet, but the way Lyra said it gave him pause.
"Organized how?"
he asked. Zafira floated closer, her hair glimmering in the moonlight. "They are moving with purpose. They avoid known patrols. They study the terrain. This is intelligence, strategy, and coordination. Not random attack."
Jack's mind raced. Intelligence in an enemy meant danger, but also opportunity.
Humans thrived in such situations.
"Then we prepare,"
he said firmly. "If they're studying us, we'll turn it against them." Over the next few hours, Jack worked tirelessly with both humans and aliens. He reorganized the settlement's defenses, adding layers of unpredictability, using terrain and integrating alien technology with human improvisation. Floating platforms created shifting walls. Drones projected holograms of non-existent forces, and energy traps were set along likely paths of enemy approach. The humans watched him closely, learning from each move.
"He's different," one human settler whispered to another. "He thinks like nothing we've ever seen."
"It's inspiring." Jack caught part of it but ignored the praise. praise didn't win battles. Strategy and action did. "Stay alert," he said. "Watch the land, anticipate movement. Humans survive by thinking faster than the enemy." Night fell fully, and the unknown force arrived. Sleek ships emerged from the horizon, their engines silent, gliding across the plains like shadows. Jack's pulse quickened. He had never seen anything like this, more advanced than any marauder group, coordinated, silent, and calculated. "Remember," Jack said, addressing both humans and aliens, "they may be stronger, faster, or smarter in some ways, but humans think differently. We improvise, we adapt, we survive. That is our edge." The first wave moved into the traps. Holographic projections misled them, leading some into narrow corridors where energy nets immobilized them. Floating platforms shifted suddenly, forcing enemies to dodge or stumble. Jack directed drones with precision, creating illusions of larger forces, forcing the enemy to overcommit in one direction while leaving another vulnerable. Hours passed in tense action. Jack moved among the defenders, adjusting positions, issuing instructions, and improvising solutions to challenges as they arose. When one of the enemy units managed to bypass a trap, Jack quickly redirected a drone and used a projected energy wall to block their advance. The aliens watched him in awe. This human, he anticipates, adapts, and reacts in ways even we do not predict, Lyra said. Nico's multiple eyes blinked rapidly. He turns chaos into opportunity.
Humans are remarkable, Zephyra nodded.
And one human is enough to change the outcome of battles that would overwhelm others. Imagine what many could do. Jack's mind raced, thinking several steps ahead. He realized that these enemies relied on observation and adaptation, just like the aliens. But they had never faced a human who thrived in unpredictability. That was his advantage, and he would use it fully. He signaled to a group of human defenders to move through a hidden path. They advanced quietly, taking advantage of the enemy's misdirection. One by one, enemy units fell into traps, confused, immobilized, or forced into areas where they could be neutralized. As dawn approached, Jack noticed the enemy retreating. Their ships lifted silently, leaving behind equipment and a trail of chaos, but not defeat. They would return, smarter and more prepared. But Jack smiled faintly. That was exactly what he wanted. Humans thrived under challenges that seemed impossible, and this enemy was about to learn that firsthand.
"Again!" Jack said, breathing heavily but alert. "We've won this round, but they'll be back, and we'll be ready."
The alien women gathered around him, their expressions a mix of respect and admiration. "You have done it again," Nico said. "Your strategies, your mind, they are human, yet beyond what we expected. We may have underestimated your kind before. Never again." Zephyra placed a hand on Jack's shoulder. "You have proven that humans, even one individual, can change the course of events. That is rare. That is extraordinary." Lyra smiled faintly. "You have chosen to stay, to teach, to protect, and through your actions, Zyra, 7 may grow beyond what we imagined. Humans are essential." Jack nodded. "I didn't choose this for glory. I chose it because it matters. Humans survive not because we're strongest, but because we refuse to give up. We think, adapt, and act when it counts."
"That's what makes us remarkable." The days that followed were busy.
More humans arrived, bringing their own ingenuity, adding to the growing settlement. Jack coordinated their training, teaching them survival skills, strategic thinking, and how to combine human ingenuity with alien technology. The aliens, in turn, absorbed human methods, adapting their strategies and machinery based on Jack's insights. A sense of community began to grow, a true alliance of humans and aliens, combining strengths and learning from each other. Jack saw the humans not as fragile outsiders, but as vital contributors, capable of making life on Zyra 7 not just possible, but prosperous. One evening, as Jack stood atop a ridge watching the twin moons rise, Lyra joined him. "You are different from any human we have met," she said softly. "You inspire those around you, guide them, and protect them. You have changed Zyra 7 in ways even we did not expect." Jack smiled faintly. Humans have a way of doing that. We survive, we adapt. And when we find something worth protecting, we fight for it, no matter what the odds are. Zafira appeared beside them. "Your actions have created more than defense. They have created hope. Humans bring hope because you refuse to accept helplessness. That is extraordinary." Jack laughed softly. Hope is simple. People want to live, want to protect what matters, and figure out a way to make it happen. Humans have always done that, no matter the planet, no matter the challenge. Nico hovered nearby, multiple eyes blinking as she scanned the horizon. "And you have taught us that humans are not fragile. One mind, one will can tip the scales. Zyra 7 is safer, stronger, because of you." Jack looked out over the settlement, the humans training, the aliens preparing their drones, and the landscape stretching endlessly beyond. He realized something profound. He had started this journey looking for nothing more than sleep. Now he had a purpose, a mission, and a chance to show the universe the value of human creativity and courage. The twin moons rose higher, casting their silver light over the plains. Jack Mercer smiled, feeling a sense of pride he had never known. Humans were rare on Zyra 7, but that rarity was strength. Humans were unpredictable, adaptable, and relentless, and he, one man the only human in the early days, had proven it. "This is just the beginning," he said quietly. "Zyra 7, aliens, humans. We're only getting started. The universe doesn't know what's coming." The alien women nodded in agreement. "With you leading, humans and aliens together may thrive here." "You are extraordinary, Jack Mercer. Not because of strength alone, but because you show what humanity truly is." Jack chuckled softly. "Strength is overrated. Humans survive by using what we have. Brains, heart, and stubbornness. That's what matters, and that's what I'll keep doing." As the night deepened and the settlement hummed quietly, Jack felt a calm certainty. He was no longer a wanderer, searching for rest. He was a protector, a teacher, and a symbol of what humans could achieve. Zyra 7 was his home now, and he would defend it, grow it, and prove to the universe that humans, even a single individual, were a force to be reckoned with. And so, under the twin moons, Jack Mercer, the only man in town, stood ready for the challenges to come, confident that humans, with their ingenuity, courage, and determination, would always find a way to survive and thrive, no matter the odds. For Zyra 7, the frontier, and the vast universe beyond, humanity had arrived. And Jack Mercer was its herald.